Oh my god, red alert, red alert, this is an emergency, we have a crisis at hand, people. Everybody get down, put your heads down, brace for impact. Because I'm wearing a hat in a video. I don't know, I just felt like changing things up. It's also a really bad hair day, so I need to slap a hat on here. Not to gas myself up too much around here, but I think I look pretty good in a hat. And I also managed to avoid spoilers for the Odyssey for over 3,000 years. I know, for somebody who's as well-read as I am, and as somebody who's a really big fan of Mario, I never came around to playing Super Mario Odyssey. It just never came across my way. But I did manage to catch this new Christopher Nolan movie that adapts this, so I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it. Let's hang out, let's talk! And I think it's really cool that there is just a general enthusiasm for a movie like The Odyssey, because, I mean, of course the Odyssey is one of, if not literally the most important and influential pieces of fiction ever recorded, especially with Christopher Nolan coming off of Oppenheimer. Even if he wasn't coming off of Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan is, of course, one of the most successful filmmakers of the 21st century. He's like one of the few modern-day auteurs that we have. And I gotta say, Christopher Nolan, you've done it again. You've done it again. Congratulations. I mean, yeah, it's The Odyssey, and you really do feel like you go on a journey. Only one that Christopher Nolan could take you on in film, and one that an actual, literal Honda Odyssey could take you on in real life, too. I'll admit, it did take me a while for me to get on board at first, like probably around the first 20 to 30 minutes, I was kind of hesitant. I was like, okay, where are we going with this? What is this gonna turn into? As much as I like Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker, and as much as I like the majority of his movies, I think that one thing that is a constant in his movies is that his editing can sometimes be pretty bad.
Look at me! Oh no! Jesus Christ! What the fuck?
He's a filmmaker who loves playing with the concepts of time and nonlinear storytelling, so when you make movies that rely on telling a story not in chronological order, editing is probably the most important thing, if not the most important thing, besides, of course, like, catering. It's just my opinion, though. That's just my personal feelings sometimes whenever I watch a Christopher Nolan movie. Again, I like a lot of his movies. And I think in the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, I noticed him going back to his old ways, and it was a little distracting, and it was taking me out a little bit. But don't worry, because very quickly the movie irons itself out, and oh my god, it is so fucking good. For a movie like The Odyssey, that's like a sword and sandals type of movie, you want it to feel literally epic. I mean, it's literally Homer's epic. So it's very important that the movie feels grand and big and larger than life, and it does. This is probably his most blank check, no credit limit, do whatever the fuck you want movie. And I really appreciate that with this movie, he really did whatever the fuck he wanted to do. You can tell from the sets and the locations, the costumes, the action that is present, that everything was crafted with love, care, and passion. It's a movie that you watch and immediately get interested in the behind the scenes because you just are left wondering how the fuck they managed to pull that off on camera. Even the fact that this movie is entirely shot on 70mm film on IMAX cameras, insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Christopher Nolan went fucking sicko mode in this movie, and like, there are so many moments also that feel so well earned that you watch them and you get those goosebumps every time. So major props to Christopher Nolan for putting his all into this movie. And I mean, shout out to the whole cast and crew, because clearly, again, something that you can really tell when you watch a movie is when a cast and crew really put their all into the movie. And I mean, starting with the cast, Matt Damon is fantastic as Odysseus. To me, Matt Damon is a little weird of an actor, not because I don't think that he's a great actor. He is a great actor, but it's weird because, like, he's one of those figures, one of those public celebrity figures that has just been around for so long that you kind of take for granted his existence, if that makes sense. He's kind of like LeBron James or Beyonce when it comes to, like, longevity. If you think about Matt Damon in passing, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, That's Matt Damon, of course. He's a good actor. He's from Boston. He loves Ben Affleck. Yeah, that's Matt Damon, duh. But he's also one of those guys that when you sit and think about, like, his filmography, all of the movies he's been a part of, or when you're watching a movie like The Odyssey with him in it, you're reminded and you're blasted back to the past, like in Ratatouille, where you're like, oh my god, Matt Damon. He's like one of the fucking GOATs. Speaking of LeBron James longevity, Anne Hathaway's also in the movie. And I mean, she's great in the movie too. Nobody gives a bad performance in the movie. Don't listen to anybody who says that there are bad performances in the movie. Tom Holland, he's great. I mean, I think that this is his best non-Spidey role. John Leguizamo gives an amazing performance as well. Robert Pattinson, he plays a conniving, snivy little fucking rat bastard so well in this movie. Oh my god. He has some great line deliveries in this too. Hamish Patel is great. Lupita Nyong'o in her limited screen time is also really good. Who else is in the movie? I mean, like, it's a really, really big cast, and I don't think anybody really stands out as, like, the worst one. I think everybody puts up a pretty good performance. Oh yeah, Travis Scott is in the movie. That was a little odd to see, but, like, he plays a very fitting role for his character in the movie. Hi, middle of editing Nick over here. I completely fucking forgot to mention Zendaya. Honestly, I forgot to mention a lot of the cast members, but like I said, it's a big cast, and I really more wanted to talk briefly about Zendaya because she's great in the movie. She gives a really subtle, understated performance, and her role in the movie also helps kind of tie in all the themes together by the end. So I think that she was really great in the movie, even though she wasn't in the movie for that long. But yeah, sorry that I forgot to mention Zendaya. That's so stupid of me to overlook. But yeah, that's me mentioning Zendaya. So thanks for watching the video. I know I said earlier that I had never really experienced the story of the Odyssey before, at least the original story of the Odyssey. But I mean, I've played Hades 2, I can gather information, I can use context clues. I'm not LARPing when I say that this movie isn't a one-to-one adaptation of the original Odyssey, but I'm also somebody who goes into film adaptations pretty open to changes from the source material, because to me, I think that as long as you make changes that are in service to it being a good film, while also retaining the kind of core essence of said adaptation, it's fine. And I say that because Odysseus's various trials aren't super faithfully adapted from the original work, and I do think that they're done and filmed and written in very compelling ways that fit the kind of interpretation of the Odyssey that Christopher Nolan wants to make with this movie. I appreciate that a lot of the different sequences in the movie are done with a bit of a horror inspiration. I honestly didn't even know that Christopher Nolan had that in his bag. I'll give one disclaimer. This movie can be loud as fuck, like ridiculously loud. But to kind of dabble into spoilers just a little bit, I won't get too deep into details, but if you know me, you know that I love me a good theme in a movie. I mean, like, yeah, I like themes like this, and like that, but I like me, like, themes, you know? And this movie is rich in themes. I appreciate that one of the central themes of the movie is to release your inhibitions on some, like, Natasha Bedingfield shit. I think she made that song, I don't know. Odysseus as a character has always been known to be a masterful strategist and somebody who's very tactful and cunning and smart and likes to rationalize his way through different plans, and always has a solution for things. But in the Odyssey, I like that Nolan kind of explores how that way of thinking can backfire. Him being stubborn and finding his own way home led him to facing new, different, and constantly escalating setbacks. And it wasn't until he realized that he needed to detach himself from his ego, detach himself from his past traumas, and to just let life happen to him was when he finally managed to make it back home. I just think that's a pretty neat theme to have, where you kind of just have to be okay with not everything being in your control. I think it's also really interesting how much this movie is kind of a spiritual successor to Oppenheimer. I mean, to be honest, I was kind of expecting it to share similar themes to Oppenheimer. I wasn't really sure how exactly it would. But if you've seen both of these movies, the parallels make a lot of sense by the end, and like you can really tell how Christopher Nolan can tie it all together. It seems like Christopher Nolan is at a point in his life and in his filmography where he's kind of trying to figure out how everything went wrong. And he took Greek mythology and the Odyssey and the Iliad and the Trojan Horse, the Trojan War, and framed it together into his own interpretation. It's kind of like an origin story of how the world has become so divided and so cruel. Zeus's law is a prevailing motif in the film as something that was violated by Odysseus. And we see throughout the movie Odysseus facing the consequences of breaking Zeus's law. In a lot of interpretations in the past, the Trojan horse is seen as like an achievement for Odysseus. But the way that Nolan frames this Trojan horse strategy in this movie, it's an underhanded, low honor ranking tactic from Odysseus. Odysseus took advantage of the generosity and the purity and the charity of Troy and the Trojans to basically wipe them out. By the end of the movie, Odysseus realizes that this sets off a chain of events, much like Oppenheimer in Oppenheimer. Oh my god, and also Oppenheimer is lauded as an American Prometheus, another Greek mythology story. Oh my god. It's all connecting, oh my god, her web connects us all. I will say that I don't think that the Odyssey ends with the same sense of dread that Oppenheimer does. I think it's just really interesting how Christopher Nolan kind of twisted the story of the Odyssey to make it tie into Oppenheimer a little bit more as a movie about a man's creation to end a conflict, ending up creating more conflicts that trickle down from generation to generation. Me personally, though, I wouldn't have fallen for this shit. First of all, this is the most obvious dozens of bloodthirsty men are in this ass trap ever. Second of all, I don't give a fuck about a horse. Well, horses are pretty cool, I guess. They're not bad, but like as a gift, a giant wooden horse that smells like piss, shit, and cum? No, I'm good. If I was the king of Troy, that shit wouldn't have even left the beach. In fact, I would be like, everybody, push that back into the water, please. However, if they offered like a giant wooden Rayquaza, yeah, I would have fallen for that. I would have been like, everybody in Troy, all the men, women, children, bring that shit back into the city. Everybody be like, oh my god, this is amazing, put it outside the Temple of Athena, blah, blah, blah. No, we are fitting that shit in my bedroom. So yeah, this movie was great. I saw it in 70mm. I didn't see it in 70mm IMAX because Chicago doesn't have a 70mm IMAX theater for whatever fucking reason. And I wasn't really in the mood to make my own little odyssey out to wherever the fuck, Illinois, to go see it in 70mm IMAX. But you know what? This is worth it. It is worth it to see it in 70mm IMAX, most likely. I will try to make the Odyssey, but we'll see. This is a movie that is just meant to be watched and experienced in a movie theater. So please, 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 do whatever you can to see it in whatever format you may see it in. I'm feeling, fuck it. I'm feeling a 9.5 for the Odyssey. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to keep up with more videos. Let me know what you thought about the Odyssey if you've seen it already. And yeah, thank you guys for watching as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.